Everybody, Meguro31 back here for FSi DFS. I will be breaking down the 6-game slate for Wednesday, May 4th, Star Wars Day. Check the weather quickly here. Recording this the night before, so be sure to check back to this video. Probably around, slate starts at 12:40, so around noon tomorrow. So if there's any pitching changes, because we have a couple double headers on here, and just because sometimes they'll move the pitchers to like the later game or switch those up, or if there are any weather concerns change or anything like that, we'll just throw all the information in the comments for you. So like I said, check back. And then we will be doing the main slate also. I'll get up tomorrow morning and record that. So looking at the weather here, looks decent for Miami, Arizona. Pittsburgh and Detroit got rained out, but that one, it looks good. That's the first game of a doubleheader. San Diego and Cleveland. Looks like there could be a little bit about rain here, maybe about 20%, but I think they'll get this game in. The second game of the doubleheader looks like that one could be in question. No concerns with Kansas City, St. Louis. Atlanta and the Mets, about a 40% chance of rain, 55-degree temperatures. Nothing, we'll have to keep an eye on that one. And then Houston, I mean, it's perfectly fine there. So let me bring up my screen and share with you my chart. So 1 second here. Here we go. Okay, so like I said, we have a 6-game slate here. So really not a ton of options. The first game, we have the Arizona Diamondbacks and we have the Miami Marlins. Again, check back. These pitchers might change when you do it the night before. Sometimes you get some surprises when the slate actually comes up. But it looks like Madison Bumgarner and Eliezer Hernandez. I'm not, I like Madison Bumgarner. I've been targeting most of the year, but he hasn't really been that bad. The last 3 games, at Washington, 7.7 DK points, at the Mets, 16.9 DK points, at St. Louis, 14.9 DK points. So really isn't getting like lit up. He's got a 1.17 ERA. He has 15 Ks, a whip of 1.13. Not that bad this year. It's a hitter park. Miami's actually striking out. So I think you can actually use him here, and you're going to need some cheap pitchers because there's really not that many options here. So I'm in on Baumgartner and Hernandez. I think potentially you can use Arizona. They're hit or miss. They're middle of the road and like strikeouts, lower side. They're below 20th in WOBA and WRC plus. So definitely not a potent offense there. Bernard Hernandez just has some struggles this season. So if you have to use him, I think, but I think, there's some other options that we can look at. Next game would be the Mets and the Braves. Like I said, the weather here, a little concerned about, to keep an eye on that, but McGill is definitely going to be my second favorite pitcher here. I know Atlanta is a decent offense, especially, getting back to full strength, but it is a day game. Sometimes on these like Wednesday day games, you see lighter, they rest players, they rotate players, especially if they're traveling or something, or if they played a lot of games in a row. So sometimes you see some funky lineups. So I definitely think McGill, no matter who the Braves are out there, is going to be a good play. Ian Anderson on the other side, I think he's okay against the Met lineup, especially, in a cooler temperatures, wind blowing in a little bit. So it's a pitcher's ballpark. I think in the mid-range, he probably would be point per dollar the best play. So San Diego Padres and the Cleveland Guardians. You have Mike Clevenger hopefully making his season debut. He had Tommy John surgery last year, then he hurt his knee. Don't know how long he's going to go. So at his price point of 8.8K, he's a little expensive. So just have to check back, like maybe check the DK bio to see if there's a pitch limit or anything like that. If we see anything, again, I'll throw in the bio there. So I think he's usable against Cleveland, but again, it's going to be a bit risky for a start. Don't know how long they're going to let him go in that one. Zach Plesac on the other side against San Diego. San Diego really doesn't strike out that much. I think he's an okay choice at 8K, but it's really not the K upside there. San Diego can hit at times. So I think like out of the 7 top pitchers, he would be like 7th out of 7 for me. Next up, we have the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright really hasn't had a great year this year. I mean, it's like he's an older pitcher, and he pitches, and he sometimes gets into jams, pitches out of them, gives up a couple runs, but doesn't get completely blown up, gets a couple strikeouts, doesn't walk a. So he's just a really decent, experienced veteran pitcher. So not great for DFS purposes on a small slate. Kansas City has been pretty bad. And then they lost Mondesi. So there's really a lot of this is a very lackluster offense. So I think despite his current form, he's probably okay to use. I think Ian Anderson I'd take against the Mets if the weather holds up over him, but I think between he and Plesac in the same and E. Hernandez in the same price range, I think just with the matchup here, I like him there. Bubic, absolutely not. Biggest fade on the slate, not touching him at all. St. Louis is my second favorite stack. I think he gets annihilated by this purely like right-handed lineup. Pittsburgh Pirates and Detroit. This was another game postponed today. It's first game of doubleheader. It was Bryce Wilson they're supposed to pitch. Now they have Dylan Peters as the opener. Dylan Peters, if you see that Dylan Peters is going to like stay and pitch longer than like 2 innings, might be somebody to consider, but he's like really expensive at 7.4. It's almost like they should have these guys flipped. They should have Dylan Peters at 5.5 and Bryce Wilson at 7.4, because Bryce Wilson is allegedly the long reliever and will probably get more innings. But Peters hasn't given up a run this season. He's been actually good, but you're only going to give him for a couple innings. And for 7.4, I can't really do that. So if for some reason you see that he's going to pitch the full game, or they're switching him, like maybe Bryce Wilson becomes the opener and Dylan Peters becomes the long reliever, then perhaps you could consider him. Pineda on the other side. I know he had a good game first against the Yankees, and the second game out wasn't that good. He's a pitcher that gives up a lot of hard contact and is really volatile. Even though this Pirates lineup isn't great, they do have some power lefties that can get to him, and some like Vogelbach, Reynolds, Yoshi, even Grimmel. Probably going to throw a lot of lefties at him. So I'm really not interested in him. He's on my fade list. Final game of the early slate is Seattle Mariners and Houston Astros. You have Matt Brash, who's an up-and-coming young star pitcher, but not like a stud star pitcher, but he's got potential. But he only scored like 9.9 DK points his first outing. So we have to wait and see on him if he does come and make a huge impact like they expect him. He's a high prospect. And then you have Justin Verlander on the other side, who's just been back from injury and looking like he didn't even miss a beat. So he's by far my favorite pitcher on the slate. Seattle has come a long ways in their offense and the acquisitions they made, but I think there's still some strikeouts, especially at the bottom of the lineup. So I think Verlander will be fine and probably the top pitcher on the slate. So like I said, Verlander, top pitcher. McGill, if the rain holds off in New York City, I'm fine with that. And then Clevenger, risky first start. Just have to read up on him before you use him. Ian Anderson, I think it's okay. McGill and Ian Anderson in the same game. You're going to sacrifice the win, but I could see it be viable because it's a pitcher's park. The weather's conducive to pitching. And even though both lineups are decent, I think those pitchers could have a good day. Wainwright, I like the matchup against Kansas City, even though he hasn't been great recently. E. Hernandez, I can see against Arizona. Like I said, they're in the 20s and offensive categories, so they're probably in the bottom third of the league there. Plesac, really don't think there's much upside with him against San Diego. With really, they're actually in the last 2 weeks have been almost like dead last in strikeouts. Madison Bumgarner, I think you definitely can play him. And I think potentially if you want to punt and play Brash, you can try, but I think you're really only looking at like 10 to 12 points. And I think Houston's top stack in the slate. So that's probably GPP only. And then I'm fading the Pittsburgh situation. Pineda and Bubic is probably the worst pitcher on the slate. So I'm going to stack Houston, St. Louis. I think San Diego is the next interesting one in Cleveland. With that game, but again, we'll just have to I think there's one that has like some weather concerns, but I think they'll be fine early. I think it's later on that there's gonna be an issue. GPP wise, Mets against Anderson, he has given up some runs this year. Miami, if you don't trust Bumgarner there, Arizona, and then Pittsburgh potentially against Pineda, who has sometimes given up some hard contact. I can't put them in cheap stacks; they're not even cheap anymore. But I think they have some potential as probably the final GPP stack. Cheap bats come from Detroit and Kansas City, and then leverage. That's probably the two most popular pitchers going to be Verlander and McGill. So if you're going to try to get cute, then those are the two stacks that you'd play. But again, small slate. So if you're 150 maxing, you play all these. If you're 20 maxing, probably you want to stick to Houston, St. Louis, San Diego, and Cleveland. See if the Mets and Atlanta even play, and then maybe mix in some Miami, Arizona, and Pittsburgh stacks there. So let's look at the lineup breakdown and we'll get you on your way. So like I said, I think I'm definitely taking Verlander as my SP1. If you want to throw McGill in there and save a little bit of money, that's fine. I understand that. I think Bumgarner is going to be my SP2, just so I can get some bats in there. So I like Altuve, Bregman, Brantley, and Alvarez. You can throw Tucker in there if you want to do all the outfield, but I really kind of like putting a Detroit stack. So I'm biased if he's in the game at shortstop there. You can put Meadows at third base. You can take Maldonado, a catcher. He's cheap, or take the Detroit catcher. I think it's Barnhart. That works too. At first base, you go Miggy or Tollinson, the rookie. So there's a lot of pieces that work there, or whatever stack works. So I think I'm taking at least 4 Houston, maybe 5, depending on the lineup, with what options I have there. But I think I'm pretty confident that I'm going with JV as my Verlander as my top pitcher and Madison Bumgarner as my SP2. And then for GPP, like I said, McGill, have to see how the weather is. Probably might pair him with either Ian Anderson, Michael Wainwright there. I might have to drop down to Bumgarner again, just because St. Louis is very expensive. So I definitely want Goldsmith and Arenado. I can't remember if he's in it, if there's suspension or not after the brawl. So he might not be in there, but I think he's back. Edmund and O'Neill, Bader, if I can make it work. If not, I'll just take the 4 of them that I want. Maybe if there's a cheap guy starting, I'll throw him in the stack, do a wraparound thing, and then I'm just trying to see who I can fit into to make the rest of the stack work. Might just do a game stack here because Kansas City's pretty cheap, and I could get like a cheap shortstop like with Nicky Lopez, like batting 9th, and then Olivares is really cheap too, batting like lead off there. Just do like a little wraparound thing there, and then maybe punt a catcher and then I can pay up for an SP2 and maybe go get like McGill and another pitcher of pretty good quality there. So that's pretty much what the builds are. Like I said, recording this the night before, so if just check back around noon tomorrow, I'll try to throw some comments out there if any of the pitchers change, or if anything major happens, any of the games that are going to be postponed, thoughts on weather, things like that. Like I said, check the video back around noon. If you're watching this after 12 p.m. Eastern, then don't have to come back here. But do check out our evening one. That'll be posted on the channel too. So subscribe to our channel. You know our videos are coming out. Please give us a like. It helps us get this out to more people to help them build better lineups. And if you want more information on FSi DFS, you can go into the bio for the video or the description, and all the information to our Discord and our site are there. So I'm MegaRuler31. Leave some questions or comments below if you have any thing you want to discuss, or hit me up at Twitter at MegaRuler31. And I'll see you for the afternoon / main. Actually, it's a main video. It's actually 7:05. It's not one of the 6:41. So I'll see you for that video. So stay tuned to the channel, and that'll be out soon.